So the president's position that, listen, we're not going to sit down and talk to you until you surrender is just not sustainable. It's not our system of government.
The American people do not get to demand a ransom for doing their jobs. You don't get a chance to call your bank and say, I'm not going to pay my mortgage this month unless you throw in a new car and an Xbox.
An Xbox and a new car. Partial shutdown day 9, debt ceiling deadline 8 days away, America. Senator Rand Paul believes all this talk about financial Armageddon as the debt limit is breached is a bunch of hot air. Senator's with me now. How come?
Well, the thing is we bring in about $250 billion in tax revenue every month, and our interest payment is about $20 billion. So really 10% of the money we bring in goes towards the interest payment, or a little bit less than 10%. We have plenty of money to keep paying our interest. The president should cut it out. He should quit trying to scare the markets and scare investors. He should come forward if he's a leader and say, we will not default. We have never defaulted, and America is a proud country. We will not default. That's what he should do.
Let me rip through a bunch of questions here. What did you think of his offer to, open the government and raise the debt ceiling, then we'll talk? What did you think of that?
Well, I agree with Speaker Boehner. He sort of wants everything he wants. He wants us to completely capitulate, and then maybe he'll talk to us later. But you have to put this in perspective. He's been president for 5 years, and he's added $7 trillion in debt. The only time he negotiated something that was good for the country was when the sequester happened at the same time we raised the debt limit in 2011. He will not negotiate unless he's forced to negotiate. His mantra, his personal belief system, everything he's about is adding debt unconditionally to this country, and I think he's dragging the country down.
How then do you get him away from that position? I mean, how do you see a way out of this now?
He will need to negotiate. He will need to compromise. He needs to come forward, and he needs to say to the American people, I realize that we've added too much debt and that this debt is a burden on our country, and I will negotiate a compromise. I think we need something on the orders of like the sequester. I'm for a penny plan. Let's cut the budget 1% across the board, and it actually balances the budget within 5 years.
That would be like sequester 2.0. But
I'd love it.
How
It'd be great.
do you get concessions out of the president if you believe he believes what he does?
The only way you get concessions out of him is, unfortunately, you have to negotiate around this deadline. If you let him have what he wants, he will not negotiate, because his personal belief system, and most Democrats believe this, is that deficits don't matter, the debt doesn't matter. In fact, Harry Reid has said there is no problem with Social Security debt, with Medicare debt. They just blindly wish it away. The only way they'll negotiate is if they're forced to negotiate. So really, you can't give in, or nothing good will happen towards trying to rectify the problem.
Can Republicans get concessions on Obamacare at this moment?
I'm not positive what the concessions will be, and I don't want to preclude any kind of arrangement or deal that will come forward. The deal needs to do something about the debt and something about the spending.
All right. If you do not get concessions on Obamacare, does he prevail on that?
I think what we do is we keep pushing for what he will negotiate. But I think at this point, he's arguing that he wants 100% of Obamacare, and he wants 100% of the ability to keep loading debt on this country. I think neither one of those are tenable positions, and he needs to compromise. He needs to negotiate.
Well, we were looking at some of the headlines. Politico's been running a story, and the headline is GOP unity phrase, frustration builds. That's dated October 8th. There's another one. Washington Post shutdown exposes depth of rift between GOP lawmakers. I looked at the Politico article. I could not find a quote attributed to one member of the Republican Party that said that they were falling apart. Now, I mean, what is the true sense on the inside? Are you united or not?
The truth is, don't believe everything you read on the internet. No, I think we're actually very, very united on this. The idea that we have to do something, we can't keep piling on new debt, and that raising the debt ceiling is bad, and that the only way we'll support raising a debt ceiling would be if there's significant reform to spending, significant reform to the budget.
But you're saying Republicans are united? No breaks in the ranks?
Yeah, I think you'll find that we're very united, that raising the debt ceiling without any kind of structural reform, any kind of budgetary reform, without any kind of concern for all this debt that President Obama's adding to the country, I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay. Rand Paul, Senator, thank you for your time. The Republican from Kentucky on the Hill with us.